Hi, my name is Skylar Hare, and I'm a 9th grader at the new school in Atlanta. This year, me and my classmates are studying local relations in Atlanta and their civic duties. In this film, you will see me and my classmates going around the city of Atlanta to interview heads of religious institutions and learn more about what they do for the community. Thank you, and enjoy our film.
My name is Ari Kaiman, A-R-I-K-A-I-M-A-N.
I'm Marley French. Can you tell us the most unique thing about the neighborhood that this institute serves, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Sheriff is this particular neighborhood, and this particular property has a story. It's not related to this institution itself, but it's a cool story. So in the 1920s, there was a university that was built here called Lanier University, and the building that's on our property, not this building, but another building, is a replica of the Custis Lee House in Arlington Cemetery that was built as a Confederate monument to house a whites-only, male-only university. And when it failed, they sold the university rights to a friendly organization called the Ku Klux Klan, which ran a university on this property in the 20s, and they also failed. And that building then went back to the bank and was eventually bought by Sheriff Israel.
Wow.
Which used to be where Turner Field is now. And we moved to this property in the late 40s and built this building in the early 50s. And we're the first congregation in DeKalb County. So by that time, the Jewish community was migrating from the neighborhood where Turner Field is to this neighborhood and other neighborhoods. And that's how we ended up here. And we've been here in this neighborhood since.
Wow, that's amazing. What would you say your civic responsibility is?
So the Jewish people and our tradition asks that we are always seeking to make the world a better place. The phrase that most Jews use for this today is tikkun olam, the idea of repairing the world. It comes from a mystical tradition known as Kabbalah that tells a particular version of the story of creation, that when God created the world couldn't contain God's light perfectly, and the vessels that God had intended to hold creation shattered, and the broken pieces are all of the evils of the world. And that when we do mitzvot, when we do good deeds, when we do things that make the world a little bit more like the world that God imagined, that we are repairing those vessels and we are restoring the world to the world that God dreams of. And so we at Sheriff Israel hold that it's one of the pillars of our responsibility. In one of the books of wisdom known as Pirkei Avot, the teachings of our ancestors, there's a very important teaching that I think of every day. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed, al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut chasadim, which means on three things does the world stand. On Torah, what I told you about a minute ago, the stories, the teachings, the things we think about. Avodah, which is work, but also spiritual work, prayer, connecting to God, connecting to our highest ideals, imagining that world, and its emotion, it's the heart. Ve'al gemilut chasadim, and on acts of loving kindness. And this is where we take our mind and our heart and we go and we do in the world. And we're not for gemilut chasadim, we're not for acts of love that we do for others without any expectation of receiving anything in return. The world would fall apart and it would be more broken. And so if we're fully committed to both learning and feeling and doing, then we've got a chance, maybe, at making the world just a little bit better than the way we found it.
That's very beautiful, thank you. Do you host any community events, and if so, what events are they?
Certainly, there's always learning and praying and doing happening here. So it's I would say that the best way to understand the kinds of events that we do is to go to our website. And the community is always welcome to join us for our prayer, and people sometimes come and they pray with us and they experience Judaism for the first time or the second time or the millionth time, depending on how often they come. But we have learning events and we have concerts here and we have all kinds of scholars who come through our building and teach. We're close to Emory and Georgia Tech and Georgia State, and so we also have lots of scholars who are part of this congregation who share their work through the facility and the gathering power that we have.
Who do you see affected by traditional or personal community outreach?
Who do I see affected by traditional or personal community outreach?
Like, if you do community outreach, like the Backpack Buddies program, like, who do you usually see affected by that? Like children or parents or something like that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways that our work impacts others. So people within the congregation who take time out of their lives to tutor children in underprivileged schools or schools that have a lot of extra need and not the resources to fulfill them. Or the recipients of the Backpack Buddies work that we do, or we do a lot of work when it comes to refugees. So this congregation has sponsored families who have come to the United States out of Ethiopia and out of Ukraine. And we've also done work around immigration and supporting immigrants at risk directly. And so there are all kinds of people who have had more and less impact based on the work. And I think that those who engage in that work also find meaning in their lives by having the opportunity to do so. So in a few weeks, we're going to be actually taking a Shabbat to lift up the work that we've done around refugees and honoring all the people who have done that work here at Cherith Israel.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Thank you.
What is one thing you wish you could do for your community that you're not doing currently?
That's a great question. You know, there's so much need. There's so much need. You know, when I was applying to this position about 10 years ago, the work of the shelter was really inspiring to me because one of the realities of where I came from in a suburban community was that people who were poor weren't really able to be geographically in the same area as where we are here in Atlanta. We are connected to transit, we are connected to multiple communities, and it means that we encounter people who have needs beyond our ability to fulfill. I don't know if there's a particular project or thing alone that I could point to. I mean, there's so many things. I wish, you know, we're trying to recruit volunteers right now to go to a place that's still reeling from the hurricane and hasn't been rebuilt yet. And so there's an organization called Nechama, a Jewish organization that sends groups of volunteers to do house reconstruction. And, you know, that's a project that might get off the ground if there's enough volunteers. And we're going to be collecting funds to distribute to the poor as part of the holiday of Purim. There's a million things we try and do, and we're not always successful. And the need is always greater than our ability to fulfill it. And so I don't have a one answer to that. There's just the feeling of the weight of the world that that I hope the right energy comes through this community to do a little something to make it better.
Yeah, that project sounds really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any additional thoughts that you would like to share?
Oh my gosh, do I have additional thoughts that I want to share? Sure. Let me just tell you a brief story about Judaism that I think helps to animate why we do what we do. So in our tradition, the way I read this, I mean, we don't have one view. Judaism has many, many views about, well, everything. But the way I like to tell the story of the Torah is that God had a dream for a world in which creation grew organically and with beauty and with harmony, and that human beings created in the image of God would tend and till and nurture that harmony. But it turns out that human beings are selfish. And we learned how to be more selfish when we ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because we're really good at knowing what's good for me. But we're not great at knowing what's good for everyone. And over time, the world gets corrupted because when everyone is out for themselves and everyone does what's good for me, we just take and take and take, and the world gets depleted and corrupted. And we see that happening today also. We see it with climate change. We see it with conflict between nations. We see it between conflict between peoples who should love one another and cooperate in harmony. And God's dream for Abraham was that Abraham would recognize that all of us are created from one God and are part of one family. And it takes maybe a little bit of self-interest. I've got my story, my way of being in the world, and you've got your story of being in the world, and they're both part of one God. For us to recognize that even though we each have our self-interest and that we have our way and that we should have our stories and have our particularity and have our differences, because that's part of the beauty that God created, that all of us are also in this world together. So God created the people of Israel to be a small people, not because we were so great, not because we were so perfect, we're not, but because we would believe that we don't need to be everyone in the world for the world to have harmony. It's never been the Jewish tradition to go and say everyone should be like us. It's hard to be Jewish. But when we believe in pluralism, both in particularity, that individual stories and nations and peoples have a right to exist and express their individual beauty and their rights, and that we're all in this together in a universal way, that's why we're motivated to involve ourselves in big work that isn't about us. That's why Jewish people have historically been deeply involved in civil rights in this country. It's why the state of Israel sends people to disaster zones whenever there's a disaster. It's why we do what we do to make the world a better place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was all my questions so far.
Okay,
So
wonderful. Well, it was a pleasure to talk with you.
yes, you too.
Thank you so much for your time. May I ask, when was the Emmaus House formed?
It was founded in about 58 years ago. So it's been here for quite a while.
Yes.
Father Ford, an Episcopal priest, actually started Emmaus House back in 64, 65-ish, maybe 66.
Okay, thank you. How has the relationship between the Emmaus House and the Atlanta community changed since its founding?
Oh wow, such a difference. I've been here for roughly 3 years, and just my short time here, I've seen it change within 3 years. Prior to this building we're in now, which is the Low-Key Center, it started out as a Property Rights Center. So more so back in the early 70s, it was more so about civil rights and helping people get through the process and voter registration. Over time, it kind of evolved into a more help center, where we provide a variety of services for everyone that we see, not only in the Peoplestown neighborhood, right? Initially, it started out being just here. It was the goal to serve the people. Is place-based, meaning that we are really here in this one place and we service this area. We have since grown, right? We realize that Peoplestown, as great as here, but a lot of people outside of this 30315 zip code actually need our services.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, thank you so much for your time here and allowing us to talk to you. Could you please state your name real quick?
Rick Bryant.
Rick Bryan, thank you so much. Could you tell us a little bit about who you are and the services you use at Emmaus House?
As far as I'm a retired welder, I use this place, I guess, for the food bank and help with stuff like they help me with my ID. and checking on the rental assistance now until I get back on my feet.
Oh, thank you very much. That's wonderful. When did you start using the Emmaus House?
I came in one time before just to get my ID. They gave me a form to fill out, and I went right down. They give it right to me, so it's pretty good.
Nice. Around when did you start using it? Yes.
About 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago? Wonderful, wonderful. How have you been finding it? Is it all right?
Yeah, so far.
Great.
Every time I call them, everything's good.
That's good. Do you use any sort of, you mentioned help with like landlords and rent, is that true?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Do you find that assistance useful in your everyday life?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
It helps with everyday life.
That's wonderful. Do you use any other services such as SNAP for food benefits?
Yes, I do.
Yes, wonderful. Do you have anything else you'd like to say just about Emmaus House in general or your use with it?
So far, experience with it is pretty good.
All right,
I
thank
can't
you very
complain about anything.
That's great.
All right, Miss Clark, how you doing today?
Fine, how are you?
I am well. My name is Rakia, and I'm gonna be getting your food pantry order for you today. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
So we're gonna first start by getting your signature for you. I'm gonna give you this little keypad, and you're gonna sign for your signature. Let me click. All right. So right here, we get our signature for every client. Let's get our keypad. And in this black area right here, you're just gonna sign your initials.
In this one or
In
this?
this black area.
In the
right?
black area.
Yes, ma'am.
My name,
Your
sign.
name, sign your name right there. Your signature for me. All right, you're good to go. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So we're gonna start off with our meats. And these are options that we have for today. So from our meats, you have a choice of fish fillet, chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks, or whole chicken.
Whole chicken.
Whole chicken. All right. We have French fries.
Yes.
All right. Tuna.
Yes.
We have sloppy joe or spaghetti sauce.
Sloppy Joe.
We have pork and beans.
No.
No pork and beans. Beef stew.
Yes, beef stew.
All right, you get to choose 2 soups. We have cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, chicken and dumpling, chicken noodle, and tomato soup.
Chicken and dumpling.
Okay, you get one more choice.
Cream of chicken soup.
Cream of chicken. All righty. You get to choose 5 canned goods. We have sweet peas, sweet potatoes, collard greens, black beans, corn, and pinto beans.
Corn and pinto beans.
All right, you get 3 more choices. We have black beans, collard greens, sweet potatoes, or sweet peas.
Sweet peas. Sweet potatoes.
Okay. Any collard greens for you?
No, ma'am.
No collard greens.
Oh, give me the pinto. Can I get double pinto?
2 pinto beans. We can definitely do that for you. All right. So we have pears or applesauce.
Pears.
Okay. We have white rice or brown rice.
White rice.
Peanut butter.
Yes.
All right. Would you like mashed potatoes?
Yes.
Would you like yellow grits?
No, do you have another?
No, we only have yellow. Sometimes we have white, but I have yellow today.
I take the yellow rice. Yellow grits?
All right. And you choose 1 cereal. We have Special K, Honey Nut O's, or Cocoa Loops.
Honey Nut O's.
All right.
I got plenty of special cake.
Oatmeal.
Yes.
We have hot dogs. Chicken
Yes.
hot dog.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have pasta miscellaneous. Would you like boxed macaroni and cheese?
No.
All right. We have choices of noodles. Elbow noodles, spaghetti noodles, or rotini noodles.
Spaghetti noodles.
Pancake mix.
Yes.
All right. 1% milk.
Yes.
All right. You get to choose one snack. We have Nutri-Grain bars, miscellaneous chips, or miscellaneous candy.
Miscellaneous chips.
All righty. We have coffee. You drink coffee?
Yes, every day.
Okay, so every day. Listen, I understand.
For Sunday.
We have ground coffee, instant coffee, or coffee pods.
Instant coffee.
Okay. We have apple juice.
Yes, apple juice.
Apple juice. We also have women's multivitamins. You need some vitamins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so we are all set. We went through our list, and you are good to go, okay? They'll call you back when your order is ready, okay?
The Emmaus House was started by an Episcopal priest in Atlanta 58 years ago in 1968. It started out at the Property Rights Center, but has since then moved to the Loki Help Center in Atlanta. In the early 70s, they were focused on civil rights initiatives, helping people get through voter registration. Over time, it became more of a help center, still providing aid to the activists in the civil rights era, but leaning more towards helping those with lower incomes struggling to gain access to resources they need. Overall, Emmaus over the years has shifted less into religious-based help and more towards just helping in general. Though, through the following years, since the founding, they realized people who are not Christians still need assistance, and it would simply be cruel and against the Christian religion to withhold already existing resources from them. There is no obligation towards faith in order to use their resources, although they can be given religious guidance when asked.
Skyla, thank you so much for allowing us to visit the city of Atlanta. I'm just going to ask you a few questions as part of the interview. So I'd first like to ask you to state your name and your position here.
My name is Civic Krishnamurthy. I'm one of the volunteers here at the temple. So I just basically volunteer for both religious services as well as maintenance work here at the temple.
I am Sairam Sarafnani, Vice President of the Anglican Atlanta.
Okay. So could you just tell us a little bit, just a tiny snippet of about your engagement?
The Anglican Atlanta has been established in 1987, and it has been here. It started with one small structure, and then it has expanded to Balaji Temple and then Shiva Temple. In 2004, I think we started the Shiva Temple. So we do provide the religious services for the southeast of USA, and this is the biggest temple of southeast USA. At the same time, we do the community services as and when it is required.
Okay. Perfect. That's a great segue into our next question. So what service do you guys do? Could you just give an example of like food drives or provide anything else?
Yes, we do food drives. We do provide food to the people who come here, for the needy, and there are people who buy it. At the same time, we also provide the food currency to those who need it. And whenever something happens like
COVID, during COVID?
Yeah, during COVID, some cyclones happens, we do provide food to shelter here up to about 150 people. We can provide shelter up to 250 people. And we do provide food to the services like fire services, police services, and all those people. And we do have scholarships, which we give it to at least 4 or 5 schools in Clayton County. And we have built 5 homes to Habitat for Humanity so far, and we are actually promised for another home by end of this year. We do have not only within the US, whenever some disasters happens or calamities happens, we do provide pull the money from the devotees here and we send it to across the universe. It could be any country, not necessarily India. Any countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, or Korea, South Korea, all those countries we provide financial assistance as required. And we also provide financial assistance for some of the organizations in India who build schools, who build homes for the needy.
So do you have any long-term goals service for the community, as in like as a community service, how you want to like give back to the community, how your long-term goals that you want to see the Atlanta community have with you.
What do you think about habitat for humanity? Is it a long term or not short term?
Habitat for humanity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
I told you right. That's what it is. We give scholarships. We are giving habitat for humanity. So wherever it is required, we will pitch in.
I think in terms of long term, the temple has been around for a very long time. As Srinath Garu mentioned, this is the biggest temple in the southern United States. And I could say that the long term goal is for us to continue to be the center for Hindus and anybody else to congregate. We want to be the place that provides that kind of service. We want to be the preeminent religious, both the religious as well as social center point for the Hindu community.
okay, beautiful. Just to this is going to be our last question. I just want to ask, what do you think the most beneficial? Like I know you listed all of the different things you guys do, which I think is beautiful. I want to ask, what do you think the most beneficial one was for you to do, or that you continue to do?
It's not the benefit that what we are looking for. It's the benefit that is going into the community. So everything. At a given point of time, something is useful. So let's assume that's a cyclone. So we need providing food and shelter and financial assistance is at that given point of time that is helpful to the society. So similarly, it's happened to humanity. So same thing, providing homes to 5 individuals who are in need and who cannot afford to have the home. So those are all things.
Yes, I don't think we can kind of pick and choose between which is more beneficial and less beneficial. As Srinath points out, it all depends on context. So the fact that we provide shelter during a hurricane, right now, is that a benefit now? Probably not, but it's very important at the time. So it's contextual. So we look at all of our work as a taken as a whole as very important. So there are lots of pieces to it. All those pieces contribute, but at the end of the day, our very presence and the fact that we have such a traditional South Indian Hindu temple, and therefore a congregational point, that is I think that's our key.
It is to the local government, but at the same time, whenever there is a need for the community from us, we will pitch in. We will pitch in and we will do whatever needs to be done. See, simple example I'll tell you. Clayton County, this entire Clayton County lost the power. And the Clayton County jails doesn't have doesn't have a generator at the point of time. And they need to prepare food. We prepare the food and give it. So that's the kind of help. So as we come to know that there is a need somewhere, and if we can pitch in, we'll definitely pitch in and we'll do whatever best we can do.
Okay, well that's everything. Thank you so much.
After interviewing the Hindu Temple of Atlanta, this is some of the extra information that we found out. So it was created 41 years ago in 1984, and it was created by a group of people who wanted a place to worship and pray. But the small group of people each put in $10,000, only to find out that they could barely afford the property. Therefore, the Atlanta community helped provided money to this group of people so that they could later afford their temple. Through this, they were able to later afford the temple, and it shows how not only the Hindu temple provides for the Atlanta community, but the Atlanta community also has provided for the Hindu temple. The Hindu temple has served with the Atlanta community in many different ways, starting with them hosting free Bahalavar classes for young students. This gives kids the opportunity to learn more about their Hindu culture and grow and learn just at a very young age. They help the people that go there with illnesses such as COVID and provide medicine for free. They also help provide shelter when disasters such as hurricane strike. They help provide food not only for the people that go there, but for fire and police services and homeless people. They grant scholarships, and they have so far built 5 homes to help the community. They not only supply financial assistance for people in Atlanta, but also for people across the United States in places such as India, Pakistan, and Korea. Thank you.
Could you please state your name and your relationship with the Atlanta Quakers?
Yes, I'm Don Bender, and I have been a Quaker since about 1968.
Wow, okay. Could you just give us a short summary of what the Quakers are, what they believe in, stuff like that?
There are, of course, different groups of Quakers, so I'll, who have some who are more evangelical, and ours is in the tradition of the ones who originated a little over 350 years ago, and ours is a very we've been in Atlanta probably for they started here probably around 1960. I think it goes back into the 50s that they started, and so we've been in Atlanta since then, and we moved to our new building, which of course allowed us to expand in 1982.
Great. Could you tell us what they believe in, what kind of work the Quakers do, stuff like that?
Sure. Quakers, of course, have, I shouldn't say of course, Quakers have an open meeting where we believe that everyone has access to the Spirit. In other words, we're not at all hierarchical. We believe in the authority within, and that everyone is able to directly deal with the Spirit. People would refer to that Spirit in different ways, so we don't all believe alike, and that's okay.
Yes.
Some people would not use the word God, but many people, all of us, use the word Spirit for what that of the divine within man and women, and that divine Spirit means that we do not express violence toward other people, because people are, in one sense, divine. There is that of God within them. So therefore, it would be totally an affront to Spirit, to God, to the divine, to take another life or to be violent. So we believe in nonviolence.
Of course, thank you. And you said that you've been a Quaker for quite some time now. Could you explain how you've seen the Atlanta Friends relationship with Atlanta in general? Like any civic duties, like just historically, what purpose do you play?
There, in 1960, the Quaker House was established over in Druid Hills and Fairview Road. And for a little over, 10 years, worked primarily on integration. So they had groups. This was when the Atlanta schools were being newly integrated. So they had groups of African Americans and whites, and I guess those were the two primary groups, to meet together, students to meet together at Quaker House and to get to know each other, and as a way of sort of getting a little bit of a jump start on the integration itself that was going to be taking place in public schools. So that was the initial thing. And then could you repeat your question?
Yeah, any like civic duties that take place within?
Yeah, so that would have been the primary focus for those first 10 years. And then Judy and I moved into that same house, Quaker House, in 1970, and were there for 2 years. And this was, of course, during the Vietnam War, and primarily our focus was on hosting anti-war activists, and we did draft counseling for people who wanted to know what their rights were. And so we didn't try to suggest there was only one way that people should respond, but that we wondered what their conscience was leading them to do, And if they wanted to become a conscientious objector, then we coached them on how to deal with the draft boards to convince them that that's what they wanted to do. And then if they wanted to go to Canada, we would we had contacts there, and so would give them contacts. And there were some that wanted to just simply stand up and resist, and there were quite a number who did that. And so then it would be to show support if they went to the induction center, and when they said step forward and take the oath, they would not step forward. They would then be arrested, and depending on where people here in Atlanta, then they could be arrested and spend time in prison. Usually not more than 2 years.
Okay, that's wow. You've discussed a lot about some like political activism the Quakers have done throughout the civil rights movement, through the Vietnam War. Are there any other more modern day practices that you are often discussing?
Yes. First of all, of course, we had to deal with the issue of being inclusive ourselves in every way. So I can't identify the year, but anyway, we began discussing inclusion of GLBTQ folks, and made a decision to that was what we had to be. And it really was not as soon as the questions were raised, we really moved rather quickly to affirming that, yes, we needed to be inclusive. We believe that God is within each person, that each couple of people have the right to make their own decisions about their orientation, and that we would respect that, and that we would have commitment ceremonies, weddings under the care of the meeting, whatever, whether it was heterosexual or otherwise. Mm-hmm. So that would be one of the most recent. Of course, we are also very much involved with refugees now, and both in terms of activism confronting the administration and the inhuman and brutal way that they are treating refugees. So with protests, tomorrow we will be out on Freedom Parkway, Freedom Park, next to Moreland there, and we'll be standing in silence in a witness against the ICE treatment of refugees, good people that are being scapegoated. And so we also have a resident at Quaker House, residents, Anton and Charlotte, who are, he himself is from Puerto Rico, and so is bilingual, both are, of course. And so they are involved with refugees from wherever, and they have stayed at the meeting house. And also there is a house in Grant Park that has 3 longer-term refugees living. Okay. So I would say that refugees would be a primary focus. Of course, there are individuals involved in so many things. Certainly the issue of indigenous justice, the idea of justice for not former slaves, but whose ancestors were slaves, that there needs to be an economic acknowledgement of this, and you know, to restorative justice, I guess you would call it, although that is used more in terms of criminals. There's a, what word am I hunting for, Stacy? Reparations, yes.
Okay, thank you. You've mentioned a lot about really amazing activism work that you've done for both the Atlanta community and in whole, the outside community. What do you think there's any like physical pieces of civic duties you commit, like any charities or food drives that you take time to as a community, or is it mainly activism focused?
It is, well, it is both activism, and then there are also organizations that reflect our values, and the American Friends Service Committee would be one of those, and they are involved internationally, and particularly in connection with Gaza, they are one of the leading people there, but the leading organizations there, and in Palestine with Palestinian rights, and of course also with issues of gender equality and those sorts of issues. There is also a Friends Committee on National Legislation that we work with, and that's one that I personally am very involved in, and we work on national legislation at the moment, trying to curb ICE, eliminate it if we could, but certainly meanwhile make sure that they don't operate as a rogue band of terrorists, and you know, obey the law if they're going to be concerned with this. And we are also working on legislation. Well, the Iran war, of course, is a big deal, trying to get us to operate again legally, not if we operated with not only the consent, but the advice of the Senate and House, you know, this would be looking very different from, once again, the totally irresponsible and brutal approach that the administration is, if you want to call it an administration, is doing. I mean, it's just a rogue, cruel kind of lashing out internationally and destroying different countries and creating a bigger mess than we anybody thought possible. So working at that from a legislative standpoint, and there we try to operate by our values of being respectful and listening, and also being insistent on Congress weighing in and bringing this conflict and other rogue conflicts to an end.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've said quite a lot that's very, very important. Is there anything else you'd like to state about the Atlanta Friends and also how they've impacted the Atlanta community over time?
Well, we seem to have established our, you know, that we believe, I would say the process and our values are expressed in our process, the way we work. We make decisions as a group and we reach consensus. So we put the emphasis on if an individual feels differently than the rest of the group, that they will be heard. And we will try to reconcile any concerns that they have so that we can move forward in a direction. And that value reflected in the process that we have is also then, of course, reflected in the other things that I mentioned, the dignity of every person, regardless of their sexual orientation, or certainly in all of this, regardless of their ethnicity or race, or for that matter, religion. You know, we have our way of operating, but we are an inclusive. We do not consider ourselves to have the only truth. that we some of our members would identify also as a kind of friend of Buddhism or of Judaism or of and some would identify as atheists, non-theists. I think is the term that's used more.
All right, thank you very much. It's been lovely to hear from you.
Thank you.
Ask you for your name.
Yes, Paula Klingman Falk.
All right.
my
Well,
name.
I'm Keen Wong, and so we're gonna ask you a couple questions. Okay. So can you give us a little overview about your institution and the religion you practice?
Sure. A good overview of Chung Tai tradition, which is the bigger name for a school of Chan Buddhism, which is Chinese for Zen Buddhism, that's based out of Taiwan. And my shirt here, which says respect, kindness, true, and harmony, represents the tenets that are important to this particular branch of Chung Tai out of Taiwan. So, like other religions, Buddhism has many different areas or sects. And what we practice is Chan Buddhism, which again is the same thing as Zen Buddhism. And it's also of Mahayana tradition. So I'm maybe giving you more information than you need. But from Chung Tai, I have little presents for you.
Oh, yay.
Just a little bookmark that tells you what our tenets are. To our elders, be respectful. Respect is very, very important in Buddhism at large, all sects of Buddhism. But there's one thing that I want to say about respect that I think makes Buddhism a little bit different than other religions. So we have great respect for the teachings of the Buddha. So when we bow down, when we offer flowers and fruit and different things, which you'll see in every Buddhist temple or monastery that you visit, we are respecting the teachings of the Buddha. So we want to respect our elders, and I guess Buddha is kind of the top elder. Within the monastery here, we have an abbess. You can see abbess only, respect for the abbess. But we also say we want to be respectful of our juniors. So for myself, my elder would be the abbess, even though she's much younger than me. She's one of my teachers. For you, of course, it's your parents, your teachers. To our juniors, be kind. So we're also respectful of people that are our juniors. So, for you, it might be brothers, sisters. And then with all humanity, be harmonious. So there's a lot to be said about that, but I think that the basic premise is kindness and generosity and love for all, what we say, sentient beings, which means living creatures, including animals. So with all humanity be harmonious, and in all endeavors be true. So the truth piece to it comes from what we feel we can get to through meditation practices, and there are many different ones of those, to get to our core basic self, which we call true self. to be able to have insight and to know how to help other people and to be able to be patient and kind, even to people that we don't like or that are not always nice to us. So, that was a long answer to a short question with a lot of information to it. Did I leave out anything? Read me the question one more time.
Tell us about your institution and the religion you worship.
So the institution, I'll say a little bit more about that. Chung Tai is, if you look on the back of your bookmark, this is the main monastery in Taiwan. And I want to say, so we have, the Grand Master has passed on. He passed on 10 years ago. But he established this huge monastery. I think it might be the largest one in the world, but don't quote me on that. About 36 years ago. So we're just a branch of that large practice. There also are branches in Australia, Philippines, in the United States. There's one in Boulder, Colorado, Sunnyvale, California, Texas. So I don't remember about in Europe. So it's very widespread.
All right. So what types of acts of service do you do for your community?
That's a very good question. So the acts of service that we offer to the community is training in meditation practices and classes to learn more about Buddhism. So when I answer that question for community, that would be the large community of people who practice here. So a very important part to Buddhism is being able to extend the teachings of the Buddha to all suffering beings. So if we're extending classes here and we're teaching people and we're helping them to learn how to meditate, we see that as enhancing the community, the wellness of the community, to be able to know how to deal with suffering, because we all suffer.
Yes.
We don't focus on suffering, but we focus on the ways to deal with suffering. Because we can have a happy life, but still, at some point, we're going to suffer for some reason.
What would you say suffering is?
Oh my, that's a really good question. I'll tell you the word for it in the ancient language that the Buddha spoke, which was called Pali, P-A-L-I. It's called dukkha, D-U-K-H-A. So suffering is what comes about as a course of life. And we talk about the beginning of life, being born. That's suffering right out of the gate. But, you know, suffering can be grief, it can be sadness, it can be depression, it can be hurt feelings. Suffering can be a lot of different things.
Thank you so much for watching our documentary. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out our website where we have articles and other information that we've learned. We'd like to give a specific thanks to the religious institutions for letting us come into their religious spaces and learn more, because it wouldn't be possible without them. Thanks again.